You're listening to Shut Up and Choose, the no bullshit, no excuses podcast for people who swear they want to lose weight, but keep choosing everything that stops them. And before we continue, if you're gonna bitch and moan and act like a fucking pussy the entire time, skip this one. Hosted by Jonathan Wrestler. This dude dropped 140 pounds with no shots, no diets, no pills, and not one single fucking membership swipe at the gym. Just real choices that fit real life. If you're tired of gimmicks, tired of the bullshit, and ready for somebody to finally call you out and tell you the truth, you are in the right place. Cravings, stress eating, late night sabotage, travel traps, holiday chaos. This show punches all of that right in its fat face. Stop dieting, start choosing. This is Shut Up and Choose. Now, here's Jonathan.
Hey, welcome back to Shut Up and Choose, the podcast that judges the noise and nonsense and all the bullshit that the internet is throwing at you, whether it be through the Instagram gurus, the TikTok twits, or just the general bullshit that's out there. Today we're going to talk about some weight loss and how it works, and we're going to talk about choice. So, like I said, welcome back. I'm Jonathan Wrestler, your host, and I've been gone for a few months. Not because I forgot how to lose weight, not because the rules changed, and not because life got too busy or the universe decided to make things harder. I've been gone because I chose to be, and that choice taught me something that I need to say out loud right now before we go any further. Most of you are going to hate what I'm about to tell you, and not because it's wrong, but because it's honest, and honesty about your own behavior feels aggressive when you spent years protecting that same behavior. Here's the thing. I know exactly why I left. I know exactly what I stopped doing, and I know exactly why I stopped doing it, because I chose comfort. I chose ease. I chose the path of least resistance, and I did it while knowing better. That's not a failure of knowledge. That's not a tragedy. That's the entire fucking point of this episode. So let's start right here. I've been away because I chose to be, and today we're talking about why fat loss isn't hard, but staying uncomfortable is. And I'm going to show you that this isn't just about your body. It's about your entire life, your money, your relationships, your career, everything. If you're waiting for me to apologize for being gone, don't. If you're waiting for inspiration or motivation about some story, how I got back on track, you're listening to the wrong podcast. What you're going to get instead is the uncomfortable truth about why you keep failing at the same things over and over again, and what actually it takes to stop it. So let's get into it. So here's what I know about you. You know what to do. You know it. Not intellectually, not theoretically. You know it in your bones. You know that protein matters. You know movement matters. You know that late night eating is a choice, not a requirement that shows up at 10 o'clock and forces you to raid the kitchen. Know that a walk takes, 20 minutes and doesn't require perfect weather or the right shoes or a fully charged phone or any bullshit like that. You know this. You also know that your bank account isn't growing because you chose convenience over discipline. You know that your relationships suck because you chose comfort over vulnerability. You know that your career is stalled because you chose familiar over challenging. You know all that. But knowing and doing, those are two completely different universes. The gap between knowing and doing is where people live their entire lives. They sit in that gap for years or decades sometimes. They know it works. You know it works. They've seen other people do it. You've read about it. You've watched YouTube videos about it. You've bought programs about it. You've paid coaches about it. And nothing changes because knowing is free, it's easy, and it's comfortable. The doing part, that's uncomfortable. That gap, it's not a mystery. It's not caused by your metabolism, your genes, or your lack of willpower, or your special disease. It's caused by one thing, your refusal to be uncomfortable. Full stop. That's the entire problem. I'm going to say this clearly so there's no confusion. You don't have a fat loss problem. You have a discomfort avoidance problem. and you're really, really good at it. You've practiced avoiding discomfort so many times that it feels natural and justified. It feels like there's a good reason. Guess what? There's not. When you skip the workout, well, that one I don't do, but it's not because you're tired. If you're a workout type, it's because being tired feels worse than being uncomfortable. When you eat the food you know you shouldn't eat, which I do a lot, it's not because I'm hungry. It's because the momentary discomfort of saying no feels worse than the long-term discomfort of staying fat. When you scroll instead of going to sleep, it's not because you can't help yourself. It's because the immediate comfort of distraction feels better than the discomfort of sitting with your own thoughts. And this shit isn't mysterious. It's not complicated. It's basic human psychology. We choose comfort. We avoid discomfort. We've been doing it since childhood, and it's shaped your entire life. But here's where it gets really uncomfortable for you. That same pattern is destroying every single area of your life, not just your body, every area. Your money, you know how to build it. You just choose spending instead because it feels good right now. Your relationships, you know how to build intimacy. You just choose surface level comfort instead because vulnerability feels harder. Your career, same shit. You know what it separates high performers from someone else. You just choose the familiar instead because the challenging feels worse. The mechanism is identical. The only difference is that your body is the most visible proof of your choices. You can't hide it from the scale. You can't pretend the weight isn't there, and you can't blame the system or bad luck or genetics when you look in the mirror. Your body is the receipt of your choices. It's honest and it's undeniable. That's why people hate talking about weight loss. Not because it's complicated, but because it forces them to be honest about something they've been protecting their entire life. Your weight loss failure is not a weight loss problem. It's a character issue. It's the proof that when pressure shows up and comfort calls, you choose comfort. I know because I did. I did it for 59 years. Every single time. And that problem is what we're going to actually solve today. So let me be completely transparent here. I stepped back from my podcast because I chose to, not because the work wasn't valuable, not because I stopped believing in what I teach. I stepped back because I chose comfort. I made different choices, and I want to talk about that directly because I need to prove my own point. I know exactly what to do to stay disciplined. I've done it. I've lost 140 pounds without a diet. I built systems that work under pressure. I understand the mechanism. I can teach it and I can articulate. I can break it down into pieces small enough that a little kid could understand it. But knowing what to do and actually doing it when the pressure shows up are two completely different things. When I step back, I didn't lose the knowledge. I didn't disappear. I just chose to prioritize other things, ease and comfort, the path that felt better in the moment. And I did it while knowing better and while understanding exactly what was happening. I did this with full awareness that I was making a choice, and that's important. I wasn't confused or helpless or surprised. I was making an active choice to be uncomfortable in a different way, to avoid the discipline that I'd been preaching. And that taught me something crucial. Even people who understand this material deeply still struggle with execution under pressure. Even people who've lived the proof that discipline works still negotiate with discomfort. Even people who know better, like me, still choose easier. It's not a weakness or a personal failure. It's proof that the problem is real. This is proof that I'm talking about something that actually matters. Because if it was that easy, I wouldn't have stepped back. If it was simple, everyone would be doing it. But here's the thing I realized while I was away. The gap between knowing and doing is where the real work lives. That gap isn't something to be ashamed of. It's the entire point. Because the moment you stop negotiating with that gap, the moment you stop making excuses about the gap, the moment you actually step across it, that's when everything changes. I stepped back because I chose to prioritize comfort. And I'm telling you that directly because I need you to understand something. This isn't about me being weak or failing or losing my way. This is about me being fucking human. This is about me proving that the mechanism I'm describing is real and powerful and affects everyone, including me. So being away taught me something that I want to share with you because it really changes everything. The discomfort avoidance pattern that I talk about with weight loss is not unique to weight loss. It's everywhere. It's in every single area of your life. And the people who understand this about themselves tend to understand it across all domains. The people who lie to themselves about one area tend to lie to themselves about all the other areas. Let me be a little bit more specific. So when it comes to your money, you know how to build wealth. You know that spending less than you earn is literally the only way to accumulate money. You know that impulse purchases, they add up. You know the daily small choices compound into massive results. You know all of that. But you choose convenience instead. You choose the comfort of buying things you want right now instead of discomfort of delaying gratification. And then you tell yourself a whole story about not making enough money, which is complete bullshit. You know exactly what to do. You just choose not to do it because being comfortable right now feels better than being secure later. Same shit in relationships. You know what creates intimacy. You know that vulnerability matters and that showing up and being present is the only thing that actually works. You've seen it, you've experienced it, but you choose comfort instead. You choose surface level interaction instead of depth. You choose to stay defended instead of being open, or to avoid the difficult conversation instead of having it. And then you wonder why your relationships feel empty. That's not a mystery. It's the direct result of choosing comfort over connection. Same thing with your career. You know what separates high performers from everyone else. You know that the people who move forward are the people who do things that other people aren't willing to do. You know that taking risks and learning new skills, showing up early, staying late, doing the uncomfortable work, that's what moves careers forward. You know this. But you chose the familiar instead. You choose the job that's comfortable and predictable instead of the one that challenges. You just choose to stay in your lane instead of expanding into new territory. You choose the safe path instead of the path that scares the shit out of you. And then you wonder why you're stuck. That stuck feeling, it's not bad luck. It's not circumstances. It's a choice. So that mechanism is identical across all areas of your life. People, myself included, everybody, avoids discomfort. They choose, you choose, I choose comfort, and you stay stuck. You tell yourself stories about why you're stuck, and nothing changes because the behavior never changes. But here's what I realized. The people who figure this out in one area tend to figure it out in all areas of their life. The person who learns to sit with discomfort about food learns to sit with discomfort about money. The person who learns to be vulnerable in a relationship learns to take risks in their career. The mechanism is all the same. The only difference is which area you're applying it to. So when I stepped away and made choices that prioritized comfort, I realized something. I wasn't just stepping away from weight loss discipline. I was stepping away from the entire framework. I was choosing comfort across multiple domains, and that choice affected everything. That's what I learned while I was away. That the discomfort avoidance pattern is the core issue in your life. It's not just your weight, it's in your entire life. And until you address it at the core level, it'll show up everywhere. So how do we fix this problem? Now we get to the part that most people reject because it requires you to actually do something. You don't fix this by understanding it better or by getting more information or by reading another book or listening to another podcast or buying another program. You already have enough information. We live in an age where there's an information overflow, an abundance of information, but you've always had enough information. The problem is not that you don't know. The problem is that you don't do. You fix this by choosing discomfort deliberately, repeatedly, when no one's watching, when all the excitement is worn off, when the motivation has disappeared and discipline is all you have left. That's the entire fix. That's it. Everything else is noise. Let me be specific because it actually matters. So the first thing is stop waiting for motivation. Motivation does not come first. Action comes first. Motivation follows action. Momentum sometimes produces motivation, but waiting for motivation produces nothing but more waiting. You're addicted to waiting because waiting feels safe. Waiting feels like you're doing something even though you're doing nothing. Waiting lets you tell yourself that you'll start when the conditions are right. I'll start on Monday or I'll start after the holidays. No, you need to start right now. You'll start when you feel motivated. You'll start when you have more time. You'll start when life calms down. Let me tell you something. Life never calms down. It doesn't happen. Motivation doesn't arrive and the conditions never feel right. The people who change their lives don't wait for any of that shit. They act first. They feel like shit and they do it anyway. They feel unmotivated and they do it anyway. They feel tired, but they do it anyway. And somewhere in the middle of doing the thing that they don't want to do, momentum starts building. And momentum sometimes produces motivation. But it all starts with action. It always starts with action. So the second thing is, we talked about this, but stop waiting for the perfect conditions. This is the biggest fucking lie you'll ever tell yourself. You tell yourself you start eating better when the work calms down. You'll start exercising when life is less stressful. You'll start sleeping better when things settle down. You'll start making better choices when the conditions are right. I already said it, but guess what? Conditions are never right. Work is always busy. Life is always stressful. Things never settle down. Chaos is normal. That's just life. If your discipline only exists when life is easy, that's not discipline. That's convenience. Real discipline shows up in the middle of the shit show. Real discipline shows up when you're tired, when your schedule is packed and your energy is low and everything is going wrong. The shit is hitting the fan. That's when discipline actually matters. That's the only time your choices mean anything. The people who change their lives aren't living in perfect conditions. They're living in the same chaotic, fucked up, stressful, busy life that you're living. The difference is they choose the hard thing anyway. They don't negotiate with their circumstances. They don't let their current situation dictate their future. So the third thing is, pick one discomforting daily behavior and execute it regardless of how you feel. Not 10 things, not a whole fucking system. One. A single, simple behavior that you know creates discomfort, but you also know it matters. For weight loss, it might be no eating after 7 p.m. or a 15-minute walk every morning or drinking water before every meal and not eating a specific trigger food. The behavior itself doesn't matter as much as the consistency of doing it. And for money, it might be tracking every single dollar you spend or not buying anything unnecessary for 30 days or saving 10% of your income before you do anything else. Well, I don't know. For relationships, it might be one honest conversation a week or putting your phone away during dinner or saying one vulnerable thing to someone you love. Pick something. Make it simple enough that excuses sound ridiculous. Then do it. Not when you feel like it, not when you have the time, not when you feel motivated, every single day. No matter how you feel, no matter what's happening, no matter what bullshit excuse your brain offers. That consistency is where the magic lives. Not in the perfection of the behavior or in the sophistication of the system, in the simple, boring, repetitive execution of the same choice under pressure. Talking about pressure, when pressure shows up and you want to quit, that's the exact moment that matters most. This is where the real work happens and where character is built. This is where people separate from everyone else. When everything in you wants to stop and the only thing keeping you going is a decision you made before you felt this way, that's the moment that changes your life. The alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and your body is screaming at you to stay in bed. That's the moment. That's the moment when you choose, not when you're motivated, not when conditions are perfect, right then, in that moment. You're tired, right? And you just want to eat the thing you said you wouldn't eat. For me, that was always donuts. I love donuts. That's the moment. That's when you choose, not when you're feeling strong or when the discipline feels easy. Right fucking then, in that moment when every part of you wants relief. Well, let's say you're in an argument with someone. Every instinct tells you to shut down and protect yourself or rip that person a new asshole, whatever. That's the moment. That's when you choose vulnerability. That's when you choose to stay present instead of running away. That is where it happens. Not in the moments when it feels good, in the moments when it feels impossible. People always think they need more time or more resources or better circumstances or a whole bunch of other shit. What they actually need is to execute the decision they made before those feelings showed up. That's discipline. That's character. That's what changes everything. If you can do those simple things, you'll be shocked at the change. So I came back because I realized something while I was away. I realized that stepping back proves something important. I understand this material and I understand the mechanism. I can teach it, I can break it down, and I can articulate every single piece of it. But understanding is not the same as executing. Knowing is nowhere near the same as doing, and that gap is where most of your life is happening. I also realized something else. Being away didn't make me weak or less credible. It made me more credible because it proved that I'm a human, that I'm a fucking human being. It proved that I experience the same discomfort avoidance pattern that I talk about. It proved that this isn't some theoretical bullshit exercise. This is real, man. It's hard. This is something that every single person struggles with. But here's the part that matters. I came back. I made a choice to cross back over that gap. I chose discomfort. And I'm telling you this because I need you to understand something. Fat loss is not hard because it's complicated. It's not. It's simple. Fat loss is hard because staying uncomfortable is hard. But hard isn't impossible. Hard isn't something that only special people can do. Hard is something that anyone can do if they decide to stop negotiating with discomfort. And the second you stop negotiating with your discomfort in one area of life, you'll stop negotiating with it everywhere. The person who learns to sit with discomfort about food learns to sit with discomfort about money. The person who learns to choose the hard thing in their body learns to choose the hard thing in their relationships and their career. This isn't just about weight loss. This is about your entire life. This is about whether you're going to keep choosing comfort and wonder why nothing changes, or whether you're going to choose discomfort and watch everything change. That choice is yours. It's always been yours, and it's yours right now. So if you want the actual framework, head over to Amazon right now and grab a copy of my book, Shut Up and Choose. We're an Amazon bestseller. It's helped tens of thousands of people lose weight without dieting. And it's not some motivational garbage. It's the actual manual. It's the story. It's everything about how I lost 140 pounds without a diet, without weight loss drugs, without giving up all the shit that I love, and most importantly, without a second in the gym, and how to actually execute when the pressure shows up. But here's what really changes things. I offer a 60-minute choice reset. This is where we talk, it's one-on-one coaching, and we get real. We identify the specific choices you're making that are building the body you hate. Not the obvious ones, but the choices that you're protecting. The ones that you've convinced yourself don't matter. We map out exactly where you're negotiating with discomfort and why. And then we install a system or choices that work even when you're tired, stressed, busy, and everything in your life is going to shit. 1 hour. Deep analysis, a framework that actually holds up under pressure. No fluff, no motivation, just execution. If you don't believe 1 hour can change your life, you're sadly mistaken. Sometimes you need someone else to point out the shit for you that you can't see. Most people need permission to believe this is possible. You don't need permission. You need a system. Head to my website, jonathanwrestler.com, and book your choice reset. Get the book, get the system that actually do the fucking work. I'll be here when you decide to do the work. Until then, you're just thinking about doing the work, and thinking is not doing. Stop negotiating and finally shut up and choose.
Thanks for listening to Shut Up and Choose. If today's episode slapped you with some truth, good. That means it worked, and you've dropped the pussy attitude. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And connect with Jonathan on Instagram at Jonathan Wrestler Fat Loss, on YouTube at Jonathan Wrestler, and online at jonathanwrestler.com. No diets, no gimmicks, no excuses, no bullshit. Just smarter choices, starting the second you hit stop on this episode. Shut up and choose. Now, go make a better fucking choice.